This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, boys and girls, and a very special welcome to you boys and girls from Henry B. Birkeland Elementary School. Welcome to South Africa. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. My name is Steve. I'm joined on camera by Craig. We are out in the African wilderness. It is a very nice 28 degrees Celsius, 87 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a nice afternoon, and on the horizon there are some clouds. We are in what we call the rainy season in South Africa. And we are also in the savanna biome. Now, please ask your teacher to send through any questions you might have. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe you know lots and lots and lots about the savanna biome, or maybe there's any particular animals or plants you'd like to talk about. Let us know. We'd love to show them to you. But the savanna essentially is made up of a component of trees and grasses. As you can see, we've got lots of trees. We've got a fair few grasses, but it's still early on in the rainy season, and well, the animals ate all the grass early this year, and it's now slowly coming back. So we're going to do a little bit of a bumble around and see what wonderful animals we can find for you, and I'd like for you to keep a little list. Maybe you can get 10, maybe you can get 15 animals, who knows? This time of year, because it's so wet, there are sort of little pans and puddles of water all over the place, and well, it's very green. The bushes are very thick with leaves, and it's a little bit tricky this time of year to find animals, but nonetheless a beautiful time indeed, because we have lots of birds and flowers, and the plants are loving life. And well, let's see what we can find. If you jump on board, it's very important that you've got a hat. Sunglasses is also quite nice as well, but a pair of binoculars is essential for viewing animals out here, and some very nice sun cream to protect you from the sun. Jump on board. Enthusiasm is the number one attribute to bring with you. Let's go. We're ready. Craig's ready. He's excited. We're coming towards the western side of our property, and we are going to go down towards the south and see if any lions came in from yesterday. Sorry, Em, I didn't get the name of that student there, please. I wanted to know about, do the animals get sunburnt? It's a very good question. Thomas, you want to know if the animals get sunburnt? Well, most of the animals out here are covered in hair. So if I don't wear my hat, I don't get too much sunburn on my head. Some people who've got a bit of a bald patch on top, they get sunburnt, but shame for them, they need to wear a hat. But most animals out here have got very long fur on their skin. Hippopotamuses, maybe we'll manage to find you some, they do get sunburnt. In fact, they give off a natural sort of sun cream on their skin, which sometimes looks like blood. Very, very strange, in fact, but it is one of the things that they do. Most of the other animals, if it does get quite hot, they'll get some mud from mud wallows and they'll splash it on their body to cool themselves down, protect them from the biting flies, because there's lots of flies and insects out this time of year that are biting people and animals. And we've got some animals up ahead. Look at that. I've got some impala. Very good. And a wildebeest. Tell me when you're happy there, Craigo. How's that? Okay, there we've got a wildebeest and a couple impala. Now, these are very common animals out here in the savannah. The impala being the golden one there on the right. Those are males with the horns. And the big wildebeest on the left is also a male. So they're all quite happy now because the grasses are green. The leaves are green. The wildebeest feeds or eats grass, and they're both having a scratch because of ticks. You see that they're both using their teeth to dislodge any ticks that might be on their fur. Interesting, isn't it? It's busy eating one now, and the wildebeest is eating. It's busy scratching its foot. Well, when you don't have hands and fingers, you need to use other parts of your body to scratch yourself and to remove ticks. And the wildebeest is now feeding. It is a time when these animals feel much more comfortable out because there's lots more food where they can get fat and strong, because we've had a very long dry season. So the animals have been really desperate to get the very good vegetation back. Anyway, the male impala all going towards the left in the beautiful sunshine. I'm not the only one out in the sunshine of the Kruger National Park. My friend Sydney is on the eastern side.
You can see that we are all enjoying the sunshine here by the western side of the Greater Kruger National Park, Djuma Game Reserve. My name is Sydney and I'm traveling with David, who is my camera operator. And most of all, boys and girls, welcome to the beginning of your game drive. And please, you can ask us questions. You can talk to your teachers to send us questions and comments. And here where I am, I want to show you something interesting. The road is blocked and I want to go right close to this and share with you what has been happening here. When I'm looking on the ground in search of the evidence, I cannot see a lot of evidence, but here I can see that someone was digging with a very big foot, and this is a sign that the elephant has been here. You can see this big tree has been taken down by the elephant. Now the road is blocked, and when the elephants are pushing down trees, they push these trees for different reasons. They push the trees in order to access the roots, because elephants, they also eat the roots. And sometimes they push the trees in order to have accessibility to the canopy, which is the top of the tree. If you can look here by this side, you will see that something was eating here. So these elephants, this is how they eat. When the elephants are eating, they grind backwards, forward. They don't slide their jaws sideways. They go backwards, and it's like a saw, so they cut like this. So unfortunately, elephants don't eat until they finish the trees that they're pushing down. Oh, now I got hooked. This is a thorn tree, but elephants eat it, and they are adapted. They can be able to have quite a lot of nutrients from this tree. So another most interesting thing about what these elephants are doing is that, yes, one, we can see this as a negative impact because the tree has been knocked down. But at the same time, when this tree dies, some other animals are coming to eat when it's dry. We do have other animals such as the termites. Termites, their responsibility is to clean up the vegetation so that they can build up the nutrients for this vegetation again to grow. So those kind of insects, these big elephants, they are pushing down the trees, which will suddenly then get dried out by the sun, and other insects are going to come to eat. After those insects, the soil is going to be nutrient rich, and that is how it works. It's part of what is called a nutrient cycle. Nothing is wasted here in the bush. Everything is needed again. And as humans, we must have to learn a lot from these insects, because recycling is very much important. So I am left with no option but to reverse here and see how I'm going to get out. There is quite a lot of different food chains in the world, because the different animals got completely different diets. And sometimes, if you check some of the food chains, they don't start from the trees. They start from the dead animals. Like, we have got a group called the dentrivores. Dentrivores are the animals that mostly feed on the dead animals or the decaying materials. Those kind of animals concentrate from the dead animal. Here you will have the other animals who are relying on the green vegetation as the producer, and after that you will have other animals who are feeding on those that are feeding on vegetation, such as the lions eating the buffalo. And then when the buffalo dies, you will even have more other animals such as vultures coming to join so that they can have a share on that. So there is quite a very interesting balance here in the bush, and there is a dependency on these animals. When one animal is dead, it's a big bonus to the other animals. Most of the animals the animals are divided into different categories. For you to understand me better, I think I must have to illustrate further so that you can understand how it works. We have got animals that are called the herbivores. Herbivores is consisted of animals that eat grass and trees. But these herbivores, when they eat grass and trees, they get eaten afterwards by the carnivores. Carnivores is a group of predators. They're born to kill animals, those that hunt. And then we have got another group which is called the omnivores. So in other words, omnivores, they eat both plants and meat, so that there is a balance. All this is happening in order to balance the vegetation and animals. Because if there's no balance, there is going to be a problem. There will be overgrazing, because the animals that eat a lot of grasses are all going to concentrate on grasses, and the numbers is just going high, and there is no balance. These animals, they are balancing the nature. When they are hunting each other is when they are saving the vegetation, because population is not going very high, it's going down. So now let's quickly go back to one of those animals who are feeding on grass and leaves sometimes, the impalas.
Yes, thanks, Sydney. Well, when you talk about herbivores, herbivores are not just grazers or browsers. Grazers are an animal that feed on grass, and browsers are an animal that feed on leaves. You also get, in the form of these impala here, you get what we call mixed feeders, which means they feed on the grasses when the grasses are tasty, and then they feed on leaves when there's not that many grasses around. So a very good adaptation that these animals have evolved to feed on the best available plants at that time of year, because we go through a very seasonal shift out here. And we go from a very dry season to a very wet season. And so the mixed feeders out of the herbivores generally do much better. You can see a couple of the baby impala. There's a couple little ones there. They've all had babies almost a month ago now. In November, all the baby impala were dropped. And that is because this time of year is the greenest, wettest time. So it means there's lots of food. So a good time to have your baby, so that mum can eat lots of nutritious food, so she can provide the milk for the little youngsters. Aren't they just the cutest? Little mini-me versions of mum. Oh, scratching in all sorts of places there. Hello class, you want to know what we do when the animals get sick? Well, we were talking before about how the animals go through a very dry period and then into a wet period. The animals that get sick and don't survive, well, then that's basically what happens. We leave them to it. Out here, we don't have vets looking after the animals. This is a wild system, and we have wild predators in the form of hyena, lion, leopard, wild dog, and cheetah. And well, they're well known for killing and catching the weak and the slow. And so the weak animals, those that aren't doing very well, maybe because there's not enough food around, they get sick, they get very weak, and well, they get eaten by the big dangerous predators. So, and what that does is it forces only the strong animals to survive, and only the strong animals to have babies, which means that the strong survive and the fittest move forward. And that is essentially what evolution is all about. If you are too weak to survive the season, then you don't really have the right to have babies, because your genetics, your sort of strength in the environment is not great. So it's ideal that Mother Nature sort of selects you out, called natural selection. And so always the fittest and strongest animals are in the population. So we don't look after the animals. If there's any man-made injury, for example, maybe an animal gets injured by a fence or a vehicle or something, then we'll definitely do something with that animal. But it all depends on how, where, and what. Well, very good. Nice to see this beautiful herd of impala. You can see the females here don't have the horns like the males did. Hello, Jordan. You want to know how long they take to give birth? So the females are pregnant for about 6.5 months, and then they all give birth pretty much at the same time. Within about a couple of weeks, they all give birth, and so there are hundreds of little baby impala all over the place. And, well, we see lots of animals catching the babies, but then the impala population is always increasing, because they have that strategy of having lots of babies at the same time, and they can mix feed. Makes them a very successful herbivore, very successful indeed. Okay, well, the impala are all slowly moving into the thickets there. You can see they're not far off the road, and they're all disappearing, which goes to show what I said, how difficult it is this time of year to see animals, because, well, the trees are full of leaf. But we're going to keep trying. I'm going to head up a bit and see if we can find anything else for you, because you never know what you're going to find on safari. Anything could happen. We could find anything around the corner. It really could. It's all open. It's a very large area, and animals, well, they just come and go. We find some amazing things randomly without any preparation, and hopefully today is one of those days. Hello, Lily. You want to know what happens to the animals during winter? Well, what happens to the vegetation is the vegetation loses a lot of leaf, the grass gets very dry, and the water becomes very sort of distinct in certain places. We don't have a lot of water, so the animals, a lot of them do struggle, the herbivore animals. They really do struggle, but only the strongest of them manage to make it through the very long dry period, because our winter, it's not necessarily cold, it's just very dry, and food is hard to get. But in the winter months, that is when the lions, leopard and hyena do very well. That's when they catch lots of animals. That's when they're very busy. And then this time of year, it's a lot harder for them as well to find all of these animals, because they're much more spread out. But in the winter months, if you go to a river or a permanent water source, you're guaranteed to find lots of animals coming to and from to drink, because water is essential to their survival. Just like you. Can you imagine going a few days without water? It'd be very hard, wouldn't it? Very hard. We're very lucky. The animals out here, sometimes amazing how they manage to survive. Hello, Liam. Well, those baby impalas, you want to know how long it takes them to grow up? They're only a month old and they're already moving and running around. It's very incredible, isn't it? From the first few weeks, they're already moving with the adults, and but they're still quite easy to catch from a predator point of view. But within 3-4 months, they're pretty much part of the herd, and after a year, well, they're continuing on. So they're very quick in their growth, and they mature very quickly. So not very long at all. The first month, 2 months is the most dangerous time for them, and then after that they become fully fledged members of the herd. A beautiful afternoon we are having here in Djuma. There's a lovely breeze. It's really nice to be out with a cool breeze. We've had some very hot temperatures, and when it's hot, it's even harder to find animals. So today we're going to have some luck, and Sydney is in the search of something very special for you. Let's go over to him and see if he's having any luck that side.
So you can see right in front of us, there is something looking very big, like a big pile of sand. Oh, someone is on top there. There is a squirrel right on top, and there's a little hole as well there. So the squirrel is not the one who built that big house there. So that squirrel is just having the big house sitting on top of the crest as a benefit for him to see far. Something very small is responsible of this big house. So the house has been done by one of the facilitators of the nutrient cycle, the termites. The termites, they created these, and I'm sure they're still going to grow it, because they can grow the termites way much bigger than we are seeing now. So the squirrels, the one sitting right there on top, what do they eat? The squirrels, they eat fruits, and they prefer the dry fruits. Normally, they even hide some of them here under the ground. And this is one of those animals who help us in order to detect the predators. Every time they pick up the presence of the predators, because they stay high up in trees, they see far, they just give us warning calls. And we get guided by their warning calls and see the big animals. They are very much territorial. Territorial animals is those animals that normally stay at the same area. I didn't get the question from one of the students very well. Natalie, the animals, they do run out of food sometimes, but it depends. Let me make you understand simple. We have got a season called a dry season. Dry season is mostly the cold season or the winter season. Sometimes after dry season, if the rain is delayed, we face what is called a drought. When there is no rain, it means food for the animal becomes very scarce, and we even lose quite a lot of animals by that time because of the high temperatures and shortage of food. We do lose food in the wild because of the results of the drought. Those are some of the effects of this, what is called a drought. So the animals such as the predators, those are the ones who don't really suffer in the bush, because when the animals are dying, they are eating those animals as a diet. So the predators, they don't get suffer at all. Ronan, that is quite a very much interesting question to ask. Here in the wild, it's difficult to say this animal is weak or not, because the animals has got different strategies to survive, and their adaptability is different. Like some of the animals are sensitive to the sun, and when the sun is burning too much, they die. And some of the animals are sensitive to cold. When it's getting cold, they hide or they hibernate. So it's very much difficult to explain about an animal which comes to the survival in the wild, because different kind of adaptations. Adriana, we are sharing the same kind of area with the animals. It's just that we are in a closed area and animals, they are out. These animals, they sleep in the wild. Some of them, they sleep on the ground, and those are called the terrestrial animals. Terrestrial has got something to do with ground dwelling. And then we have got fossorial. Fossorial animals is a term referring to the animals that are staying under the ground. The animals that are staying in the holes are fossorial. Then we have got arboreal, animals that are staying up in the trees. So like the birds, when they are staying up, nesting by the trees, they are arboreal. So the animals, that is how they are sleeping at night. And don't forget the aquatic animals, those that are in the water holes and sleeping there. Tori, the animals I am seeing the most, and if you go to most of the parts here in South Africa, is the impala. And the one I'm showing you now is not the impala. The color is more or less the same, but that is called a steenbok. That is one of the smallest antelopes here in the park. Don't get confused by the term antelope. It's just referring to an animal which has got the splitted hoofs. The hoofs are like the footprints, hoofs of the animals. Animal that has got splitted hoofs, four-chambered stomach. These animals, a lot of them are not like us. They've got pockets in the stomach where they are storing food when they're eating during the day. Those are ruminants, and they've got the spiral horns. Some of the horns has got the screws. The spirals are just the formation of the horns going up like this. And if I come across a spiral horned animal, I will show you the one with the big horns. So that is an antelope. So impalas is the animal that I am seeing the most, and you will see them in most parts of South Africa. They've got a very good adaptability. So the steenbok they are so very much shy. That's why the steenbok just decided to go away. Nehiman, it is not that hard to find the animals. The thing is, these animals, their sightings are determined by a lot of things. One, food availability. Is there too much food for the animals so that animals are not traveling long distances? Two, is there too much water availability for the animals everywhere, which is making the animals to walk different long distances or to concentrate by one water hole? Seasons also contribute towards, seasonal changes contribute the most towards animal sighting. During the dry season, which is the winter season, there is not much water and animals tend to go and concentrate by the specific water holes, which makes it more easy for us to find them. But now, when it's raining, water is everywhere, it becomes difficult. But some of the seasons, it's not that difficult. Shine, that is quite an interesting question. We have got this, what is called hibernation. And hibernation is not far away from what is called aestivation. Hibernation and aestivation is done mostly by the reptiles. Why these reptiles have to hibernate is because of the following. Reptiles, they don't convert a lot of food they eat into energy. We, as well as the mammals, so the mammals, animals, and birds, we convert 90% of our diet into heat energy, and that is why we can be able to survive cold. So the reptiles, they have got to hibernate because they don't have that extra ability to convert much energy in order to avoid cold. They rely on what is called the energy from the sun, radiant energy. When the sun is burning like this is when their body functioning is perfect. But when it's cold, to certain degrees, then they must have to hide. So now let's cross over to Steve. Steve he is also out now on a game drive and see what Steve is having this afternoon.
Well, how interesting is that little steenbok? I'm just going to grab something off the side of the car here. And Sydney was talking to you about the elephants and what they feed on and how they push over the trees. This time of year, the steenbok being very selective feeder, like the impala, they are a mixed feeder. Elephants are also a mixed feeder. So you saw the elephant had pushed over that really big tree. Here is, yes, I'm touching some poo. This is elephant poo, and this is very orange. You see how orange the color is here? The orange is because a few months ago the elephants would have eaten on this, and that's because in the trees and the branches of the bark there's lots of tannin, and tannin is what makes it go orange. So when we break this open inside, it's full of sticks and bark and sticks and some leaves and maybe little bits of grass. So that's what the elephants feed on in the dry season. But now, this time of year, they're feeding on a lot more grass. So their dung is much different in color. But that is, once again, nutrient recycling. Just going to put that back on the floor, because that's where it belongs. That's where the elephant dropped it. And, well, what the elephants are doing, and what most of the animals are doing out here, when they're feeding on these vegetation, is they're moving around and then dropping dung on the ground, which is then going back into the soil by all sorts of small little organisms that are recycling the nutrients back into the soil so that next year and the year after the nutrients can keep flowing. It's a very important understanding of the nutrient cycle of all the body parts, and the blood and the urine and the poo all goes back into the ground and then comes back up into the trees, and then the trees will then provide the food for all the animals. Louise, you want to know how I can hold that? Well, herbivore dung is essentially okay to touch. If we played with omnivores' feces, for example baboon or human, there's invariably things inside there, parasites inside there that we might get into our bodies. And also with predators, there's some very nasty stuff in predator scat, so we avoid touching those with our hands. But invariably domestic, or should I say wild animals, they are herbivores. There's nothing too major inside of their dung that we can't handle. And I think actually playing with poo out here in the African wilderness and playing with soil strengthens our immune system rather than depletes it. So I think we are in a very chemical age where we sterilize everybody's hands. Babies these days are wet wiped and sterilized every time they touch something, and I don't think that's the best way to do things. I think we need to eat mud cakes and we need to eat insects out in the bush, and well, it just makes us stronger, doesn't it? So I handle all sorts of things, but I won't handle predator scat, because you can invariably get all sorts of weird worms and parasites inside your tummy. It's not very good. Talking about dung, we've got some in front of us here in a very big pile. I'm going to show it to you. Just going to turn onto the side, and this is a very special pile. Craig's going to frame it for you there, and then I'm going to jump out and have a little, show you a little bit, and show you the difference between what we saw with the elephant scat and now what we've got here is in fact the dung of a rhino. Now how I can tell that is the dung of a rhino is, well, rhinos like to make these very big piles of sand. Oh, not of sand, very big piles of grass. And it is made up of grass. Once again, I'm going to touch this because it's a herbivore, and it is all inside there. It is grass, lots and lots and lots of grass, only grass they feed on. And on the outside, rather than being orange, this is black, and that is because of silica that we find in grass. And this is the territorial display of a white rhino male. He will come here and he'll walk in with his really big feet, and he'll take his feet and he'll kick backwards like this, and this is at the Facebook of the bush for the rhino, and then he'll poo all over there and kick it, and then the back of his feet is covered with his smell, and then he'll walk just like I'm walking, maybe a little cooler than I'm walking, and he'll scrape the ground as he goes, and that smell follows him everywhere he goes. And that is how he demarcates his territory, because male rhinos, they want a territory with a certain amount of food resource inside, and inside that area the ladies will come and hang out, because that's what they want. They want the ladies to come. It's all about the ladies, boys, I'm afraid. It's all about the ladies. Remember that. Hello Michael, you want to know the biggest carnivore out here? Well, it's most certainly a lion. Lions are the biggest predators in the savannah. They can get up to, a big male lion can get up to 500 pounds. Can you imagine that? Yeah, and they are designed to take down very big animals. The reason they are very big is because in the savannah we have got lots of big animals like buffalo, kudu, zebra. You saw that wildebeest before. So they need to be very big and strong so that they can catch those big animals. But those big animals, they're not just out to be caught. They run very fast, they kick very hard. Some of them have got big horns on them, and some of them just hide, like that steenbok. They just hide. So they've all got their ways of dealing with the large predators, because it's not all the predators' world out here. A lot of the animals actually do much better than the lions do. But every now and again, they're unlucky and they get caught. And when they do get caught, the carcass is on the floor, and the blood and the bones and everything gets recycled back once again into the soil. And once again, the plants will take all those nutrients up again, and voila, we have more food for all the animals. So it's a beautiful little circle. Beautiful little circle. Hello Jordan, you want to know if it's difficult for the animals to find food at night? Well, a lot of these animals actually see quite well at night. We go and hide in our houses because we can't see at night, but most of the animals can actually walk around and they can feed at night. They really can. And they can also smell very, very well. And when you're used to eating a peach or a kiwi fruit or a mango, you know what that smells like, don't you? So you could probably be blindfolded and I could put you in your kitchen and you'd be able to find one of those fruits, wouldn't you? So these animals have got very good sense of smell, and they're able to actually move around at night and find exactly what they need to through smell alone. But they can see at night. Not as well as a lion and leopard, but they can see much better than we can in the darkness. Yes, Emma, our director, said she would definitely be able to sniff out cookies. Have you ever been or arrived home and someone's baking in your kitchen? Do you need to know how to find those cookies with your eyes, or does your nose lead you through to the kitchen? I think you all know what I'm talking about. Yep. Okay, so we're going a little bit down this road because there's a watering hole that we're going to go and have a look. Going to go have a look and see if there's any animals at the water. Anthony, you want to know how the animals survive without being eaten? Well, we spoke about the impala. The impala, they have lots of babies at the same time. So lots of babies. So when they have lots of babies, yes, a number of them will get caught and eaten, but a lot more survive. And when it comes to the adults are very fast and very vigilant. Out here, they're constantly aware, they're constantly looking around, and they hang out in groups. We saw earlier that one wildebeest was together with those impala. They help each other because if a lion or a leopard is trying to sneak up on them, they'll smell it or hear it. So as a group, you've got a much better chance of seeing the danger than if you're on your own. Hanging out here on your own, it's not a good idea. Not a very good idea. Oh my word, that is the first European roller I've seen of the year. Sorry, I'm excited. There's a bird that has just arrived from Europe. Oh, where they gone? I saw 3 of them. It is a bird that has come all the way from Europe to feed on insects. I think it might be in that tree there, Craigo. Can you see it? No, that is a leaf. There we go. European rollers, they're flying at the back there. Oh no, we're going to have to do another effort to try and find them, but they're a bird. Here we go. Here comes one. They've flown all the way from Europe, all the way down through the African continent to come down here to feed on insects. Because when we have the rain, all of the butterfly or the caterpillars and all the insects suddenly are everywhere, and these birds come all the way down here. They don't speak down here. They're very quiet. They come down here just to eat. And once they get fat and lots of weight on them, they fly all the way back up to Eastern Europe to have their babies. That's very interesting. Very interesting. First ones for me this year, which I'm very excited about. Ryan, you want to know about those rollers, if they're the smallest? They're actually a medium-sized bird. They're not a large bird, but they're a medium-sized. The smallest birds we have out here are some little finches, which are little birds like this, but then there are lots of rodents and insects, which are obviously much smaller than those birds as well. Little shrews that are about this big. I'm afraid I don't have any shrew book with me right now, but shrews are very funny looking animals with really big teeth. Okay, so we're just coming up to a little watering hole over here. Animals like to go to the water, as I said, and it's always important when you come to a watering hole to speak a little softer so that you don't scare anything that might be coming down to drink, because we were talking about how do you survive against the predators. The animals have to come and drink, so whenever they come down and drink, they're always a little bit skittish, because lions and leopards like to hang around watering holes so that they can ambush the animals. So they often come down in groups, and they come down and they're very jumpy, very jumpy. But unfortunately I don't see anything here, just a couple geese on the other side. on the other side there. Ian, you want to know if I've been chased by an animal? Well, I have. Quite a few times in a vehicle. Elephants like to chase vehicles. You should never run away from an elephant. But if you're driving at night and you come into a breeding herd of elephants, so a big herd of elephants with babies, and you can't see them, because remember, we don't see very well at night, and if they start trumpeting and making noises, it's best to just keep driving. But unfortunately, what that does is it causes them generally to chase you. But our vehicles are quite fast, so we can get away. But on foot, yes, elephants and buffalo have chased me before. Also leopards and lions, and it is quite scary. But you have to be very well trained to know what to do, and you should never ever run. So they've always come to say hello, and I've never run away, because you can't run away in the African bush. None of us are fast enough to escape any of these big animals. And we're looking at some Egyptian geese that are hanging around this little watering hole, and they are feeding on some grasses there that have enjoyed a little bit of the rain. And a lot of our Egyptian geese are having babies at the moment, but these two don't seem to have any babies right now. But anyway, we've searched this watering hole. We're going to go and have a look at the next one and see if we can find you some elephants. But in the meantime, let's go see what Sydney's up to.
I am now just trying to investigate what the impalas are looking at. Right in front of me, I can see the two impalas. They are not happy about something. And I want to go and check what is it these impalas are looking for. Because if I ignore this, I might maybe pass one of the lovely animals here in the area. But just by looking at these impalas, I can see that they are looking at something. Let me just show you the impalas who are so worried. They look very worried at the moment. So I can see these two impalas, and another one is right on the right side, and these two impalas are so worried looking at something towards their direction. You can see that they are not eating at all, and all they're doing is standing and looking right in those bushes. So I want to go and help them to try and find who is coming. And I can see the ears are spread as well. They want to pick up any kind of noise and any movement, I'm sure, from these bushes. Maybe there is a predator here. So when the predators are in the area, animals don't get settled. The main predators we have here, we have got predators such as the lions. But lions, they walk in pride. A pride is consisted of the daughters and the youngsters, the cubs. Normally you won't find the males there together. So sometimes you will find the males, the young males as well. And the lions don't really come after these kind of sized animals. The lions, they prefer to take something big. The leopard is the one who is targeting the small animals such as the impala. So these impalas we're looking at this place here in front. And animals, they can see very far. I might struggle a little bit to see what these impalas were looking for, because they can see far. But I can promise you how these impalas were concentrating. They must be, oh yeah, leopard, yes. Can you see that? The leopard on the road, yeah, behind the bush. Hey, we are lucky. Yeah, yes, the leopard. You see, the impala showed me the leopard, yeah? We got the leopard now. Look there. You see, those impalas were showing me the leopard. Right there, you see the leopard is looking there. And he's trying to be camouflaged behind the bushes. So you can see that it's very, very much important to follow the call of these animals and to be guided by the animals' concerns. If it was not about investigating what the impalas were looking for, I was not going to find this big predator. So this is an animal targeting the impala as their prey. So you can see they can get easily camouflage. He's just now behind the bushes. So he can easily hide. He's using this bush for concealment. But still, those impalas, they picked him up. And those impalas, they're at a distance of about 200 and something meters. Maybe they were informed by the other animals, because when the predators are in the area, other animals, they do notify other animals about the presence of their predators. So this is one of the lovely leopard by the name of Hosana, which is in one of the African languages is called Shangaan, which means the little chief. And the little chief is bringing us to the end of the school drive. And thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments. You have been motivating and you have been very good to us. Until next time, goodbye. So now I am just going to pull forward a little bit so that we can improve this sighting. We have got a predator here, and this predator is the little chief. This is Hosana, and he seems to be very much relaxed at the moment. Hosana is lovely. Look at him. And we found him just by the right time, and he's just by the clear space, and I think he wants to do some hunting. It's very hot at the moment, but he's up and running, and he just missed the opportunity because the three impalas spotted him. Oh, now he's trying to groom himself. Can see he's now scratching makers of his hind leg on the other side. Maybe he's got some of the ticks, because the ticks and mites at the moment is a lot. I have seen a lot of ticks the other day on a guided walk. This is a very good looking animal. Look at that. A good afternoon, all stations. This is Sydney. I've got Hosana cheetah cat line. So I was just trying to communicate with the other via so that they can come and join me, or don't get surprised when they come to the sighting or to this area. So you can see those very big teeth there, which can go up to 8 millimeters. Those are the very strong instruments when this animal is hunting. In order to kill an animal, he pins those kind of dangerous teeth against the throat. And that is what kills that animal. They suffocate the animals from those big teeth. Well, you can see that Hosana indeed is growing. He's not just a big boy, he is a big, healthy boy. He looks very much healthy. So I can't wait to hear Hosana sowing. And I'm sure that time is coming anytime soon. Thank you very much for the encouraging comments. Have a look. Now Hosana is against that little plant. If you look at that plant, on the left side of the plant, an animal approaching from the left side cannot see this cat. Only the animals who are coming from the right side can see him. But it's not a very tall bush. But that bush can create a good concealment for that cat. So when it comes to concealment, leopards are the best, because they don't like to chase an animal. They just want to launch a surprise attack. You can see the belly doesn't have much. Sinek, unfortunately, Osana has been hiding for quite a while. And then to see him, it was difficult for the past couple of days. We only started seeing him last night, and this morning I saw him. But the stomach, the look, I can promise you, he did not eat much. Or maybe he is now at the final stage of digesting what he ate some days ago. Yeah, he's very much pretty. Look at this tip of the ears. Nice and black with the white. Those are the things he's using to communicate. But normally they are used by the females when they've got the cubs. When they're following each other, they target and they communicate. And other animals, such as the lions, they also got black tips behind the ears, and they use them to communicate non-verbally when they are also coordinating their hunting. So leopards, unfortunately, don't coordinate hunt because they are solitary. So now let's cross over to Steve, who is also out at the moment on a game drive.
As always, what a lovely afternoon we're having. Craig and I are enjoying the cool afternoon. We're just bumbling around and trying to see what wonders there are to behold. There's lots of birds calling, the woodland kingfishers calling, the orange-breasted bushshrike. Saw my first European roller of the season. Craig tells me they've been here for a couple of weeks, but first time I'm seeing them. So it's very cool. But I'm thinking of just slowly moving back. The Mulwati drainage is just here. Just look for some signs of Tingana, who was around yesterday, but who knows where he's gotten to now after the rain. He's probably moved quite far in search of, for his territorial display. But we'll just keep looking. Don't forget, we are interactive and would love to hear from you. #SafariLive, or also throw your questions and comments on the YouTube chat stream. Craig and I were fortunate enough this morning to bump into the Juma clan around their den, so I'm going to slowly make my way there, obviously looking for some tracks along the way and see if we can get up close and personal with the little ones who aren't looking so little anymore. When I was in the Mara, I saw some clips of them and they were all still black, and seeing 3 this morning, very, very cool. Very cool to see. Little duiker there, or what is that? Is that a steenbok? A little creeping animal. It's just hidden in the bushes. Let me get a little bit further forward. There we go. Craig, can you get him there? It's just at 3 o'clock. Just moving away from us there. 3 o'clock. So it is raining with thunderstorms in the Mara. The duiker is very hard to see, unfortunately. Off he goes. But so David, if the storm does abate and the danger disappears, he will definitely be going mobile and live. But for now, you are stuck with myself and Citizen Juma. It is what happens this time of year in the Masai Mara with the rains. Those thunderstorms can be quite something to experience, and they can also be quite localized. So they can hit you in one area and then they can be gone in 10-15 minutes. It is quite incredible. They come out of nowhere with that escarpment. Really, really is quite special. I got some amazing photographs of the thunderstorms in the Mara. There's beautiful landscapes. It was nowhere near as hot as it gets here. This is probably about as hot as it gets there completely. So very pleasant weather up that side. But so we're going to go and have a little look at the den site, if all of you are okay with that. Yeah? Well, let me know if you're not. We'll make another plan. But I'm sure most of you out there are very excited. I saw all the screenshots coming through this morning of the Juma den clan, of the Juma clan. We happened to find the elephants in situ with the Juma clan, which was very cool to see. And that answered the question, do elephants get annoyed with hyena? And well, clearly they didn't. They just stood there. Big male elephant, hyena, there's absolutely nothing to worry about, is there? Maybe if there was some youngsters, the female might get a little bit irate with them, but You never see it. You never see hyenas circling elephants. They're just way too big, way too much to handle. I mean, the hyenas are struggling to deal with Osana at the moment, so he's not a very big leopard. He's getting there. So amazing to see him last night. We were looking for him all evening, well, the last couple days. We found him very briefly the other morning on bushwalk, but didn't manage to get him on camera for you. And then as we got back to camp last night, 30 meters before we turned into camp, well, who presented himself right in front of us? Of course, the little chief himself. And while we was just checking all the little pans and watching holes along the way, Carla and everyone else is excited to see the Djuma clan. Well, we're going to go there now. I'm just having a little look here. This is Chelapan on the right. Brings back some fond memories. Craig and I, right in the beginning, we did one of the first safari lives. We had the Nkuhuma pride lying just on the left of the pan here in the shade. And we were about to go live. It was really magical. And then a big elephant bull came out of nowhere and chased all the lions away. And I can't remember what episode it was. Do you remember, Craig? It was one where the Nkuhumas had eaten a warthog. But the elephant then chased them away. So as we opened the shot, we opened the game drive, we basically had Craig turning around in his seat and viewing the back of the vehicle with lions scampering off into the thickets. It was really quite comical to see such regal and sort of dominant cats going from regal to skulking and running away. It really is quite something to behold. Like I said, hyena don't bother elephants too much. Lions don't either. They don't either. An animal, though, that I know is always interested in looking at elephants and buffalo and chasing them if you can. He's just too interested and intrigued with most things. It's my favorite cat, the little chief.
So you can see that it is now getting overcast, and this is becoming favorable for Osana at the moment. He's just next to the road, not even under a very big shade, but he seems to be very much relaxed and happy with the weather at the moment. Now we can see his belly very nicely. You can see that he's not that very hungry. It's just that these kind of cats, they are very much opportunistic, and they will always go after anything which presents itself. You can see he's trying by all means to stay cool. He's maybe enjoying a little bit of shade from those green bushes behind him. But I think the green bushes is using them specifically for camouflage. I don't think those green bushes can provide him with enough shade. Long tail. It looks like a tiger snake. So you can see that he has been washed a lot by the rains on the past couple of days. He's looking very clean. Now it's easy to see his beautiful necklace. David, if you look at the tip of the nose, if you look there, you can see that this cat is very much pink. When he's pink like this, it's telling you he's still young. Soon as he gets to 8-9 years, is then that the color of the nose is going to start darkening. So at the moment, Osana is just about 2 years. He's left with only a month and a couple of days in order to celebrate his birthday to become 3 years. He is going to be 3 years next year, February, which is now. He has not started yet with the territorial challenges. Yeah, he deserves to have a cake. Let's just wait and see what he's going to do for himself during his birthday month. He might cause quite a lot of damage to the baby impalas. So you can see now it's time for him to sleep again. So you can see the ears has got some ticks on them. I can see that when he's swiveling the ears, every time those ticks are not coming out. There's some flies. After the flies, I can see there's some black dots there. So the ticks normally, they come here. You can see the ticks at the edge of the ears. So the ears have got high holding capacity of the ticks. And unfortunately, these animals, they cannot easily get rid of the ticks attached to the ears. This is not one of those animals which get cleaned by the birds. Birds knows very well leopards are not trustworthy. So you will never see them coming down and clean these kind of animals. So birds, they are interesting. They can clean the crocodiles, some birds such as the decock, crocodile which is dangerous. But crocodile, the dangerous crocodile has got a good relationship with some of the birds. And he is also a predator. But the leopards, they are failing to build a relationship with the tick birds. Yeah, it's difficult. Wasana is a good example. Not once or twice, I have seen Wasana by the dam camp by Viotella Pen on a game drive trying to stalk the oxpeckers. So the leopards, they eat birds. And they even hunt for birds. They catch francolins. And they try guinea fowls sometimes. Even big birds such as ostrich, they do take them. I have seen a leopard eating an ostrich before. So there's not much difference between these cats as well as the domestic cats when it comes to the diet. And the behavior is more or less the same. When looking at this cat, I can promise you, you are not going to think about this cat as a dangerous animal. Leopards are so very beautiful in such a way that you will never associate them with killing any of the animals. So that is the tail, which is very important. Giraffe girl, you can scratch his belly now from the screen. I think that is much safer. But here, live is something else. You can see that this cat is sleeping, and if anything comes here, you're not going to believe that this is a tiring looking cat. He's going to become energetic and try something. They can retaliate very quickly. Look at that. So this is what helps me to find this leopard. But today, I don't want to lie, I did not find this leopard because of any of the footprints. I've looked everywhere and there was nothing. We were just informed. We received a communication from the impala. But it was also not a verbal communication. It was non-verbal. They were just looking at something showing a big concern. And then we followed the concern and found that they are against this predator in the area. So now let's quickly go back to Steve, who is doing a follow-up on those animals who are giving the leopards tough time whenever there's a kill.
Yes, well, Hosanna's favourite friends, we followed up on the North Clan. This is where we were this morning, and we found Pretty, I believe, with her 2 cubs. And then Corky's little cub. But nothing is here at the moment. So it's possible that the temperatures are cool enough that they've gone off, maybe to drink, maybe to do something else. Maybe they're like, oh, the sun is not shining, let's go and make a move. But there's no one here at the moment. The last time I came here as well with Pat, he showed me this. There was nothing going on. So who knows? Maybe they are looking for a new den site. Maybe they were too hot that day. Maybe they're all inside sleeping. I've had a little look around. I don't see any hyena. Do you, Craigo? They are more camouflaged than you expect sometimes. But that is the way it works. It might be too early in the day for them to be out and about, and they're probably having a proper little sleep under the bushes. So we're going to move on, move out, chances are, as Sydney's noticed a few times, they're probably just having a little bath in Vuyatela Pan. We know that they like to have a little bit of a bath when temperatures are cool, having a bit of a pool party. Christmas is around the corner. It is a festive season. Maybe they've gone Christmas shopping, in fact, for the youngsters and taken the youngsters with them. It's always probably the worst thing in the world I've ever had to do, go Christmas shopping. Not something I enjoy doing at all. Christmas shopping. Just give people money. It's the easiest way. Yeah, we will. We will see them, as Emma says, next week with Christmas jerseys. And also their favourite chew toy, no doubt. A little presents from mum and dad. Yeah, doesn't take long. You know, you buy these chew toys for dogs sometimes and they eat them in 20 minutes. Really funny. Anyway, we're going to move on out of here and we'll think of another plan for the afternoon. We'll go and check Vuyatela Pan though. Gaty, you want to know how they find such big termite hills? Well, the termite mounds are here. This doesn't take too much finding. They really are just there. In this landscape, we are dominated by sandy soils, which originate from sandstone and granite. And so the particle size is quite large. You think of them as bricks. So the termite mounds here are very, very big. And so invariably, either they dig into them or an aardvark has dug into them already to provide a little bit of a sort of feeding area for them to go in and feed on termites. And well, then just all sorts of animals will move in and use those for their denning. It's not only hyena, honey badgers, porcupine, warthog will all move in. Termite mounds are a very important sort of habitat requirement for many of the animals that we find out here. And well, the bigger the termite mound is above ground, the bigger it is below ground, almost like that ice cap sort of theory. What you see above ground, 2/3 below. So lots and lots of channels and tunnels under there, ideal for little cubs or pups that need to secret themselves away from marauding predators. So it's one of those strategies that make hyena so much more successful from a breeding point of view than lions. I mean, we've seen Amber Eyes has had a really bad go of it the last few years with her cubs. Sausage Tree Pride lost one recently, one earlier this year. So lion cubs, they do very badly out here because they don't really have the necessary hidey holes that hyena or wild dog do, which are integral at that really, really subtle, delicate age. Hello, Rosalind. You want to know how many cubs they can have? Well, they can have up to 3, maybe 4, but generally 2 cubs is the norm. 1 to 2 is the norm. Any more than that is not really, doesn't really work. Mum does very well with 2 and even better with 1, but 2 is the general average. But 3 have been recorded. I think they've recorded 4 as well, but there are cases of infanticide, which happens inside the den. We don't really know too much about it. I've heard lots of cases of it. I've never seen it, where they basically talk about the bigger, stronger ones will actually kill and eat their siblings. Quite an interesting way to start your life, isn't it? To suffocate or throttle your sister. Definitely part and parcel of what it takes to become a hyena, to be strong and dominant. It's one of the theories behind it, that the matriarch's daughter will invariably compete with her rival siblings. So a little bit of Game of Thrones, as you were. Who is heir to the throne? And heir to the throne is decided by the stronger. And to be a hyena queen, you need to be big, strong, and you need to be vicious. If you're not vicious, well, you can't hand out roses and cookies if you want to be a queen in the hyena clan. Same as in a prison. You got to be strong, and you got to be determined, and you got to be ruthless. And that is what hyenas go through. There goes an African hawk eagle. I just heard a squirrel alarm call, and the hawk eagle is just ducked behind. I saw them yesterday. And you know, we've spent a lot of time with the hawk eagle family that was up on the junction of Central and Drakensberg, and I saw all 3 fly by the other day. So it has been a successful rearing of that chick, and now it is following mum and dad around, no doubt, to learn how to hunt efficiently, because, well, it was fed for a very long time, and now it needs to know how to hunt. And once it's learnt all those tricks and techniques, it will then go off and find itself a mate. I don't know if it was a female or a male, but invariably with raptors, the females are the ones that disperse, and the males will stay and carve out a bit of a territory with their parents. But anyway, we're going to move on and see if we can find anything along this road. It is called Ingwe Alley, Leopard Alley. But while we do that, the little chief, who is indeed a leopard, he is cleaning himself.
So you can see that Hosan has just changed the side. Now he's looking right at us from the left. He was lying down on the other side. Now you can see that he is very much active. Maybe he's going to sleep again. He was just grooming himself and also grooming the tail. So he's really looking after himself. No much scratches on the face. So they don't have a special preference, but there is one animal the leopard likes the meat the most. They like the baboons. It's just that it's not easy for them to catch baboons, but baboons, they do like the meat. They don't specifically have a special diet. Leopards just eat anything and everything which presents itself. Whether big or small, these kind of animals will act when it's coming. You can see that he's moving the tail. So he was grooming the tail. Maybe something is biting him on his tail. So you can see now, I think he's now going to sleep. But fortunately, we found him before he go to sleep. Imagine if he's lying down flat like this behind these green bushes. It was not going to be easy for us to see him. So now let's cross over back to Steve, who's got one of the small carnivores.
Yes, it is. We do indeed. We've got a dwarf mongoose. And I was talking about how many animals like to live in termite mounds. And, well, this is one of the many. This is the smallest carnivore that we find here. And while those hawk eagles could be a potential threat to mongoose, that's why they like to hide in the burrows. And while we've seen Hosanna chasing them as well, he's also a bit of a threat to them. But they are very, very quick. Now, I just heard a grey go-away bird go, quack. And do you see how it responded? It's looking around going, where's the predator? And there's the predator right over there. It's actually off to our left-hand side, flying quite high. And that's what the go-away bird heard. There it is. That is the hawk eagle. And now hawk eagles are renowned, folks, for hunting in pairs, where the one individual will do what this one's doing, attract the attention of the would-be prey animal, and then the second individual comes in very low, very stealthy from another angle and actually catches the prey that are seemingly looking at the danger. So that's one of the strategies that the hawk eagles employ. They hunt in pairs, and that's what makes them quite successful. They hunt all sorts of small mammals and small birds, including the dwarf mongoose. They also will catch guinea fowl and francolin. Just saw another one. I'm thinking that's the same one. Yeah, the second one's coming now. There's two, both flying off. There's the other one. Linda, they are a very, very beautiful bird. They're probably one of my favorite medium-sized raptors. There's the first one, and then the second one just off to the right there. There they are. They're scanning around, trying to scare the life out of all of the small animals on the ground. Well, it works well, because generally what happens when an animal alarm calls, It causes other animals to run, causes them to flee. Here we can see almost two of them are going to join each other now, Craig. You'll see them now. There they are. 1, 2, 3. There they are. Beautiful. And so one will fly high and attract the attention of the herbivores, or sorry, the prey animals, sometimes causing them to run. And then the second one, paying attention to what the other one is doing, will dive bomb and come in from a very different angle. Most raptors use element of surprise, but the hawk eagle uses a little bit of a game of bluff, makes them look the wrong way while the other one comes in. Beautiful. Very nice shot there, Craigo, but they are headed off. I think these dwarf mongoose are safe for now. So everybody's asking, do they team up? They always team up. The African hawk eagles are always hunting in a pair. That is one of the things that they do, and actually quite a nice characteristic feature for identifying them. If you get sort of a medium-sized white raptor with black underwing, and then you find two of them, it is invariably an African hawk eagle, because that is one of the strategies they have out here for hunting. Making them very successful is exactly what I was talking about frightening the prey animals, causing them to run, causing them to look in the wrong direction, while the other one sneaks up from behind. Fancy cheetah, it's a very good question. It is in fact an eagle, but it is a small eagle, so they call it a hawk eagle. I'll show you a picture on my phone, because the true eagles have got feathers all the way to their feet, to their talons. That is pretty much what discerns a hawk eagle, or an eagle. So let me learn how to spell here. Oh wow, I'm having a mare. African hawk eagle. So if I show you a picture on the phone, let me just wipe my phone, I'm sorry, get all fingerprints on here. I'll show you a beautiful picture of this bird. There we go. There it is. And you can see the feathers all the way down to the talons on the feet. And a beautiful streaked black chest, or streaky white but black streaks on the chest. And that's what makes a true eagle. But I suppose in the way that they fly and the way that they behave, they probably could be more similarly related to a hawk. But because of those long feet, long feathers on the legs, definitely a hawk or an eagle. But very nice, very good question. But indeed a true eagle, but just a hawk eagle. Easy to remember. Okay, well, we're going to move on from our mongooses. I'm never going to get that right. White owl, I've never seen a mongoose being snatched by an owl. I've seen monitor lizard by an owl, by an eagle. I've never seen a mongoose get snatched. I've seen steenbok, I've seen a scrub hare, I've seen Franklin's guinea fowls, I've seen rock dussies, baby impala, also a grijsbok, a Sharp's grijsbok I've seen, and monitor lizards, I've seen them as well. So martial eagles love monitor lizards. And they smash them, they really do enjoy them. But I've never seen a mongoose yet. But I suppose the closest thing to mongoose I've seen was a dussie. But then actually a dussie is more closely related to an elephant. Oh, talking about elephant, we've got another really big tree pushed over on the road here. And it is a knobthorn. And you can see the knobthorn has got lots and lots of shallow roots with one long taproot that goes down through the middle. And Nancy, you love the hawk eagle and its white pants. It's got beautiful white pants, doesn't it? Beautiful, nice, long, feathered legs. But the hawk eagle's actually nested in a knobthorn this sort of size on the other side of the property. So it's always a sad thing when we see large knobthorns like this pushed over. The elephants push them over for nutrients in the roots. They damage the bark for the nutrients in the bark itself, and they also feed on the leaves. But by pushing it over, you are eliminating a habitat tree for nesting. But the tree still looks alive. I suppose if we get a tractor and just push it out the way, it will grow. It will stay where it is. There are still half the roots are connected, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. But in saying that, it might not even have been elephants that did this. It could have been wind, because the knobthorns are generally quite shallow rooted. They've generally got roots quite close to the surface. It is possible with a very strong wind, after some rainfall, the ground might have been quite muddy. They could have fallen over. I wasn't here. I don't see any elephant damage on the bark there. It's a really big tree to have been pushed over. But elephants do have the power. They are enormous bulldozers in their own right. Ooh! Magic Dragon Wizard, you don't know what a dussie is? A dussie is the, sorry, I must probably use the international word. A dussie is a South African word for a hyrax. A hyrax, one of those funny little critters that either live on rocks or in trees. We get a number of different ones. We get the rock dussie, we get the yellow spotted hyrax. If you know what a hyrax is, if you don't, I'll quickly find it for you. Hyrax, and they are closely related to elephants because they've both got tusks. They've both got 5 toes on the front and 4 toes on the back, and they've both got mammary glands between the front legs. Crazy, isn't it? Okay, maybe I should look for, I'm looking for a dussie there, and they're not there. 47. Okay, so here's a very funny looking animal. This is the rock hyrax, or the dussie. And there they are. Beautiful, funny things. And they are grazers. They live on rocks to exclude themselves from, well, these ones live on rocks to sort of hide themselves away from predators. And they come down onto sort of low-lying areas to feed on the grass. And most of the rock dussies we find in South Africa, their primary predator is the Verreaux's eagle, or otherwise known as the black eagle, which almost 99% of their diet is hyrax. And they hunt in pairs as well, like the hawk eagles do. So very nice similarity there. But what the eagle does is it often will use the sun. It will come towards the dussies that are up on the rock, and it will use the sun to its advantage. But evolution has shown the dussie that their primary predator uses the sun to come in as stealth, and they've actually designed this different filament on their eye, almost like a polarizing lens that covers their eye, so they can actually look directly at the sun and see the approach of the eagle. So what the Verreaux's eagle has done, the black eagle has done, is they've gone and designed themselves in a hunting party. So they hunt in pairs. So the one comes in, just like the hawk eagle, frightens the dussies, and the other one comes from the side and smashes them. So they take 99% of their food as dussie, and they take them off of the rock cliffs. Very, very interesting. Very nice to see. We don't have any here, any black eagles, but they do occur pretty much where there are rocks, cliffs. They use the cliffs for obviously getting thermals and for hunting, and where their primary food source, the hyrax or the rock dussie, occurs. One of the very special birds to see, because their numbers have declined quite a lot over the years. So when you do see them, it's always a nice high five for those in your birding party. Ooh, Seanak, what type of birds this time of year? Well, there are so many migrants. I really enjoy seeing the migrant birds. I love not only, it's very hard sometimes to see cuckoos, but hearing the cuckoos. You always hear them, the red-chested cuckoo, the Twix cuckoos around as well. They're not easily seen. They're beautifully birds. The black cuckoo is around. He's very sad, the black cuckoo. What else? The Class's cuckoo is around. Seen some Levallois cuckoos. I saw 2 melanistic Levallois cuckoos 2 days ago. And those of you who don't know what melanistic means, it means that they've got a high proportion of melanin in their feathers. So all their feathers are black. They've got a complete black form, and there's no white on the body. Very nice. I'd never seen them before in the wild. I've seen pictures of melanistic cuckoos before, but I'd never actually seen them before. And I saw them just over here on Bushwalk after we saw the little chief the other day. All we saw is the bottom. The European rollers, I always like seeing the woodland kingfishers, which we're all excited to see, are now annoyingly loud, but that is what happens. Steppe eagles should be around at some stage. Lesser spotted eagles are also some that come through. Lovely seeing the Wahlberg eagles this time of year. And what else has moved in? Well, there is potential for carmine bee eaters to come in. I didn't see any in this area last season, but they were in the Kruger. It is all about food source, food resource, and where they will travel to and go to. But they definitely were in the Kruger, and they are probably one of the most colorful bee eaters that you'll ever come across. Beautiful pink purpley color. Beautiful, beautiful birds. So those are ones I'm hoping and holding thumbs that we're going to see. But for now, we're about to get to Vuyatela watering hole, where I can already see a nice herd of impala. We know that Hosana's not around because he's on the other side with sitters. So these impala are probably feeling, oh, this is great. There's no Hosana nearby, but we don't know where Tingana is. If we don't know, neither do they. Oh, there's a little bit of animosity happening there. There's a boy going to chase a lady through the bushes here. Shame, poor girl. Poor girl. He's going to continue to chase. You can see the impala are really enjoying. They're going to come across the screen now. Da, 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 da. What's going on, chap? Just let her be. It's really strange that this male impala is going through a little bit of a rut at the moment. He's a bit confused, he's a bit late. The ladies have all bred already, and they're not going to be ready for breeding or in estrus until at least April, May. So poor fella, I don't know what he's doing. But while the impala are enjoying the light rain that we've had, it causes all of the little green grasses and shoots to come out in these open areas. And a lot of the things on the ground are not actually even grasses. There's lots of forbs that come out this time of year. Lots of them that are activated by the very light rain. And the forbs have got lots of nitrogen, lots of nutrients. And that is what the impala are looking for. And being a mixed feeder, they don't quite mind eating the grasses or the forbs. And I remember last season there was a huge amount of forbs growing in this very dry looking dam, and well, it attracted the animals left, right and centre. And then you've got a little young impala that's enjoying some play. It's not all serious business in the world of the impala. He knows he can also run around and play. They're probably trying to figure out what that big male is doing. But anyway, an animal that is missing from this little area and would thoroughly enjoy watching these young impala playing as well, the little chief.
So the little chief, I'm sure those impalas and the new babies don't know anything about him yet. They're still very young. So he has been hanging around very far away from the Vuyatela pen. The time he gets back there, I can promise you there will be quite a lot of damage on those baby impalas. All those lambs will start to learn from when he's killing the others. I think it's a good strategy so that the newborns cannot investigate too much during his presence in the area. So that will give him an easy meal all the time. So please don't get surprised here where I am not alone. I do have other vehicles who are sharing the same sighting. Mary, I'm sure Osana is now dreaming about the impala lambs because we saw him earlier, that was a few weeks ago, when he was playing with one of the impala lambs, and after that he killed that lamb. So I'm sure he's dreaming about playing with the lambs before he kills them. So you can see now he is having a deep sleep. He's not moving at all, and the breathing rate is telling you he's so very much relaxed. So I can see that he's having some deep breath. So when looking at this stomach, I am thinking too much. Maybe he caught something small, or he caught something big some few days ago, and now he's just trying to finish digesting, because that stomach, I can see something is full. And here where we are not very close to any of the water holes where I can say he has just been to the water hole, unless there is a water hole which has been designed by the elephant as they are digging the ground. So it doesn't look normal. So there is something in his bellies. But because they eat scrub hairs, they eat baby animals, you will never know what he ate before he got here. So, but this does not mean this animal is not going to hunt. So while we are here looking for what he's going to do when he wakes up, if anything comes here, I know he's going to get fascinated and start stroking it. It's normal. That's how leopards are. Catherine, Hosanna is a good hunter, because now I can see he's getting very patient when he's hunting. But previously, he was not patient, and every time there is an animal, he will go there and will just want to do everything very quickly to get that animal down. And he was not winning because of that. If you look at Tandy's hunting strategies versus Hosanna's strategies, you will see that Tandy is much more well experienced compared to Hosanna. But now I think Hosanna taught himself quite a lot of skills. So because he's doing hunting all the time, the experience is building. So he knows what to do and what not to do in order to get an animal now. So the weather is getting much better. The wind is now cooling. The sun is not much strong anymore. Maybe he might wake up anytime soon and move to the nearest water hole. So let's hope he doesn't go to the thick bushes. As here where I am, I can see that the bush is very much thick. So let's hope he's going to wake up and concentrate much more by the open spaces. We still want to see him. So the leopards can go for a couple of days without having the next meal. So, but they can start to lose weight after 2 to 4 weeks. That is when you will see cats start losing weight if they are not winning on their hunt. Oh, look at that. He just turned now. He's enjoying his sleep. So this is beautiful. But now I want to do the one-word tweet. Just tell me, how do you feel about this sighting? This is one of those lovely sightings. So you can hear some of the birds are calling. Maybe some of them can see him from far when he's turning. And please don't get surprised, as I indicated earlier, that I am not alone. You can hear these other vehicles around me. Yeah, he's dreaming about chasing a very difficult animal. These crab hairs are not easy to get. So those ones can be very fast on zigzag. And these cats always find it very difficult. It's an old anti-predatory strategy, but I can promise you, when it comes to the scrub hair, it works. Good. Amused. Mine is amazing. This is an amazing sighting. Andy belly rubbed. This is phenomenal. So normally these kind of cats, when they have got a lot of parasite and fleas, they expose themselves to the sun like this so that they can be able to minimize or chase away these fleas. While I'm waiting to see when this cat is going to wake up, let's cross over to Steve, who is also having something interesting at the moment.
Hosanna is dreaming about me being back. That's it. Only joking. But he does, I'm sure he dreams about mongooses, dreams about squirrels. He quite likes chasing squirrels, doesn't he? He also likes scrub hairs, but I think right now it's all about the baby impala. It's that time of year, everything's thinking about baby impala. So maybe a one-word tweet for myself. What would you all rather be? A leopard or a bird of prey? Both of them are right up there, but what would you rather be? Send it through hashtag SafariLive. What would you rather be? A leopard or a bird of prey? Now, I know a lot of you are probably going to be very interested in being a leopard, but leopards can't fly. Huh? I know what I would be, but I'll wait for all your answers to come through. We've gone and just checked Galago Pan now. Checked Void's Helipan. Just trying to see if there's any sign of the Duke, Tingana, or Sana's dad, if he's around anywhere. Nothing as yet. Also thought maybe there'd be some elephants having a drink, but you know, there's a lot of moisture around, a lot of moisture in the environment, so animals are a little bit harder to come by because, well, they don't have to go to these pans really anymore. There's plenty of it around, all these little drainage depressions. There's lots of water in the diet as well. You know, lots of elephants around, but well, when the bush is this thick, very hard to see. Jasmine, I've stumped you, have I? I think you can only have one answer, folks. Only have one answer. You can't have two. You have to choose bird of prey or a leopard. It's a good question, isn't it? Good question. So Emma would be a leopard because she says they're far more stylish. But I mean, Emma, have you seen how cool some of these eagles are? Long-crested eagle's got this long, like, plume on the back of his head. Super, super cool. I mean, the secretary bird is a bird of prey. Long legs, you know. They got those long legs, catwalk legs, long body. And they eat snakes for a living. I mean, how cool is that? And, well, then the martial eagle. The martial eagle. I mean, you do one of these with your eyes and you can see kilometers. You know, they reckon a martial eagle can see 6 kilometers. Can you imagine seeing that far? Oh, there goes Nyala. Nyala quite likes this habitat. It's a young little male. Exactly. They are like superheroes, Emma. There he goes, a beautiful little Nyala family. Hello, young boy. Mr. Anderson, you'd be a bird because you can fly. Isn't that the quintessential thing that we all wish we could do? So here we've got a small family of Nyala. There's one about to cross the road, Craigo. Let's have a look at the condition of our Nyala. Look at the very characteristic sort of way that it walks. He's a young male, probably about 2 years old now. The hips are looking in okay condition. With the greenery that's around, these animals are building up condition very, very quickly. While I was up in the Mara, there were lots of instances of the Nyala sort of falling victim to either malnutrition or just being caught by leopards. There was not much food going around, but the Nyala, being a mixed feeder, I'm just going to roll forward slightly, being able to capitalize on both the green grass coming through as well as all the green leaves. So very quickly able to catch back up on condition. And well, that individual that was on the left was born last year, so it was probably his first, or this year should I say, probably his first proper, well, first dry season. And well, to survive the first one, I think, is always the hardest for these young antelope. The first season is always the hardest, and if you can get through that, well, a good chance you're going to get on to be the stylish male Nyalas that grow up to do their dance. We've all seen that, haven't we? Yes, we have. Male Nyalas, big male Nyalas. You need to survive a couple of droughts, a couple of lion and leopard incidences to be able to eventually strut your stuff and show the ladies just how stylish you can be. It is all about the ladies, Emma. You're too right. All out here, it's all about the ladies. Am I wrong, everybody? I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Oh, so 75% of you have agreed with me or gone on the same line as I would have to be a bird of prey. Because first of all, you are a big, stylish bird with these enormously long nails, beautiful nails, beautifully long wings. You can soar. The view up there must be sensational. You can see for kilometers or miles. And well, nothing really messes with you up in the air. And well, I think large birds of prey are very, very special. I mean, feathers, for example, from birds of prey. Here's our duiker, another one of the elusive animals that has survived the drought. Duiker do a little bit better than Nyala do, I think, because they're much more selective and they've got a demarcated territory. But birds of prey and the feathers of birds of prey, oh, look at that. How stylish was that little maneuver? Wow. The feathers from birds of prey are very well known in the Native American culture for they used to give to the braves or to their warriors as they grew older. And the feathers, just like gemstones, just like flowers, have really marveled humanity for as long as we've been around. Because, you know, a feather is to have gone from something on the ground and to sort of metamorphosized into something that can take flight, something that we've been sort of, what's the word, enchanted with forever. Precious stones, flowers, they were something before. Precious stones generally were something completely before. They went through an enormous period of metamorphosis to become what they are now. And well, ladies, would you look at a piece of charcoal the way you do at a diamond? I don't think so. And that is exactly what diamond once was. It was some organic material that has lain on the floor for a long time, got covered in some form of moisture or bog, and then compressed, and out the other side comes a diamond. Yeah, diamonds are a girl's best friend. And I don't know any ladies who don't enjoy feathers or flowers. So all three of those have really enchanted ladies and men for as long as humanity has been on this planet. So feathers of birds are fantastic things, and well, diamonds and gemstones and flowers, who can argue with that? The way to a man's heart is through his tummy, they say. No one can argue with that, Gator. No one can argue with that. We're going to take this road to the right. I just had a small feeling. Let's take a right, Craig. We're going to see what happens. I had that very nice sighting with the wild dog family not long before I left, sometime in September. And we found them just over here. It was just before VM left, actually. Very sad. Just had a thought about VM. VM was one of our famous cam ops on site, and he departed a couple months ago. But we spotted the wild dogs on this termite mound over here from that road over there, but we couldn't see it now, which goes and shows how much vegetation has grown back. And just over here they were feeding they had killed a steenbok and they'd given the head to the babies. That's what you do, you know. You kill things and you give heads to your kids. Here we go, kids. Play with the head. And the next day we found them again. We found them the next day, and they'd caught an impala, and this time they gave the youngsters the baby fetus from inside mum's belly. It was really hard to see, but it was dead. It was their little play toy. But it really was quite interesting to see the behavior of those wild dogs. Definitely the way to a wild dog's heart is through its belly as well, just like most of us men. Diamonds and gemstones aren't really in the way of wild dogs. Anyway, I am waffling. Now, we're going to continue on here. We're almost to the north of our property. And we're going to head on towards the west, check another one of the watering holes. We've checked all 3 of them already. We've checked Treehouse watering hole, we've checked Twin Dams, we've checked Vuitella, and we have checked Galago. We've got the whole of Djuma to ourselves this afternoon. Sidders is still in the east, on Torchwood, I believe. He's with the little chief, and I wonder what dreams he is interpreting now.
So the little chief is just right at the border between us and the Torchwood. He's still on the side of Djuma. He's just on the road, which is the borderline. So he has not yet crossed to the Torchwood. But nothing has changed, no development with regards to the activities. He's still lying down there doing nothing. But we are going to wait here and see if there will be any development. Maybe when the sun goes down, he might start to look for something. So you can see the difference between the color on his back as well as the colors underneath the stomach. So the colors, the bright colors underneath the stomach on these animals, it helps them because when they are walking around here, the ground absorbs too much heat, and this heat, it gets evaporated to the body. So these kind of animals, when they are walking, they can be able to reflect back the heat to the ground because of those colors. Animals that has got very black color on the stomach is those that normally go and hide during the day because they cannot survive the heat. Animals such as buffaloes, if you look at the bodies, they are just black everywhere. So too much absorption of the heat is taking place all the time. But when it comes to these ones with the bright white on the stomach, it helps them in order to get rid of the heat. So you can see the color on his back looks completely gold. It's the golden prince. Yeah, he must be dreaming about that at the moment. I can see he's not moving at all. You can see he's just listening. Nothing is happening, so he is right in the middle of sleep. So he's got quite a lot of confidence on that little bush there next to him. He is not relying on any of the big trees today. You can see that he is now just relaxed against a very small bush. But now it's overcast. There is a very big cloud which is obstructing the sun, and this is helping him because he's getting cooler. So maybe something is going to happen, we don't know, because with the leopards, they're always unpredictable. Lisa, it is beautiful here. You can see the clouds, but also Hosana himself is very much beautiful. He's lying down, he's beautiful. When he's standing, he looks beautiful. When he's just sitting, he's beautiful. This cat is amazing. A giraffe girl, he is getting very long. You can see that he is growing all the time, and he's getting fat. But he mustn't get fat too much, otherwise he's going to lose his ability to run very fast. But I can see that the neck is thickening all the time. So you can see the muscles on the leg when he's lying down like that, that the arms, they are very well designed and powerful in order to support the weight when he is pulling something on the ground and holding it up into the tree. So both the front legs and the back legs, they are much stronger because the front legs helps to support the weight and the back legs helps to push the body, and the body which is added the weight by the weight of a prey. David, here in Juma, I can say the life expectancy of Hosana, it can go up to 13 to 17 years. So normally they can survive up to 15 years, but there is a record that leopards here can go up to 17 years. Yeah, something you must remember, this is a very interesting topic introduced by some of the guests who are wondering if he's going to push Tingana out or not. And I've been saying this a lot. When it comes to the territorial challenges, it's not going to be just between Hosana and Tingana. You will see some of the unwelcomed visitors coming here. If Tingana gets old and cannot protect the territory anymore, I can promise you, you will see quite a lot of unwelcomed visitors such as Hukumuri coming in the area. You will see also other males coming to this area. These leopards, other ones, they are seeing a potential of having the females by staying in this territory, and also the densely populated number of prey animals in this territory is impressing all these other males to keep an eye. You will see soon as Tingana retires, there will be quite a lot of competition. The very same Hosana we are watching here might be sometimes the one to be pushed away by any of these other unwelcomed visitors. He has been chased before. I witnessed that by Hukumuri. And that was not yet real. When it's about territories, their fights can be vicious. Hukumuri is going to get involved. That one, without any shadow of doubt, I can guarantee you, he is going to be involved in this territory. When there's a new owner in the territory, Hukumuri is even going to pick it up, because the signals by the air particles, they travel long distances, and these must have to go and renew all the borders. And you might find that by the border lines is where Hukumuri is also walking around, and then he will know that there's a new territorial holder, and who is strong enough or not strong enough, then he will come in and challenge him. So Hosana still have got a lot to learn. So now you can see he's moving a lot to touch wood, but I don't think him moving to touch wood has got something to do with territoriality yet. based on the following. He is just about 3 years, he's getting to 3 years. And normally leopards, demarcation starts when the real demarcation starts when they are about 4 years and above. So you will see him sometimes spraying and sniffing the urine. He's not yet there. He's doing it, yes, but that's why Tingana is not worried, because he's not giving out vigorous messages about territorial fight. Philip, these animals, such as leopards, they don't hunt every day. But the hunting is determined by the following. When last was the last meal? Was it 2 weeks ago? Was it was it 2 days ago? If the last meal of a size of a scrub hare was taken down 2 days ago, obviously this body is big. It needs a lot of food maintenance. He must hunt again. But if he catch something like an impala, he's going to take more days until he finish the impala, and he will be eating every day, and that is going to help him in order to stay much longer. They can go up to 4 to 5 days. They can go up to 4 to 5 days. So after 5 days and more is when they are going to. But it's not always guaranteed, because what if the prey animals are too wary about his presence? Then it means it's going to take more than that. So I don't think he's going to go far. You can see there. You can see that there where he's lying down now, it's not about the shade anymore, but it's about using that little pile of soil to camouflage. You can see that if he can decide to lie down flat, you won't see him. You see, he's very close to the road, and you can't see him easily. So that's why he's lying down there. You can only see you can easily drive past him, because even the color of the sand is similar to the color of the ears. So at least he is now trying to demonstrate how he can be able to hide, make use of the soil and make use of the bushes. He was hiding away from the bush. Now he's using the soil. He's using that as a small obstacle to hide, and now it's completely flat. It's difficult to see him. I don't think animals who are not aware about his presence can detect him there, unless maybe the wind tells them about his presence, those that are clever enough to detect from the air particles. Maybe he had some bad dreams where he was Ivy when he was lying down against the trees, and now he's going to the open space. Maybe it was a nightmare. Now he's moving to that side. So at the moment I can see that the rain is promising. We might get some rain anytime soon. Looking at the southern side of the game reserve, I can see that the clouds are building and it's getting overcast. Some of the areas are still much more open, but this side where we're seeing now, things are happening. We might get some rain coming from that direction tonight. So now I am going to move and reallocate so that we can still enjoy the sighting. But while doing that, let's quickly go back to Steve.
Well, welcome back. We have found another impala. I know that there's not a huge amount of animals to be seen at the moment due to the conditions, but impala are actually very interesting. I know there's probably a lot of information out there that you've heard and read about impala, but the beautiful lyrate shape of the horns, a very special animal in their own right, being mixed feeders. Very nice scratch on the back of the head there. Oh, right in the gap. This male is on his own. He's got a bit of a weird territorial sort of behavior at the moment. To be hanging out on your own is to ask for all sorts of trouble out here. It's best to hang out in groups, because the thing is, when you are in a group, you can spend much more time with your face down on the ground feeding. You'll see he'll take a couple bites and then up will come his head again. He is out in the open, so he is relatively safe from anything sneaking up on him. He's actually feeding quite nicely now. Everybody wants to know if that male was chasing the female earlier in the Vuetela area as a form of discipline. Well, it's really hard to actually say what's going on and why he's trying to corral them at this time of year. It seems to be a form of discipline. It seems to be some form of telling off. She didn't do what he asked, but really hard to say. You see it often in the breeding season, the males chasing the females around, and well, all it is a lot of energy being expended. Firstly, the female has to run to get away, and he's chasing them up and down. It seems to be a waste of energy, but he's sort of stamping his sort of dominance on the herd. But out this time of year, to me, it's a waste of time, really. He's not a ladies' man, that gentleman, or that guy with this impala. He's not hanging out with the ladies. He's a bit early on demarcating for himself an area. We've still got a few months to go, sir, before the ladies come into estrus. But maybe he's just a bit confused and loving the short grasses growing on the road verge here. You can see there's quite a wide area on either side on the road, because this is a management fire break area, and if fire came from the left, it shouldn't jump over this road to the right, because fire is a really big issue in the savannah in the dry months. Not that you'd think there'd be any fire now, but this area is basically used as a management protection area, and so it is maintained as such. Sorry, Emma, I didn't hear what Paul has said there about impala. That sounded quite intriguing. I'm going to move up a little bit on him. Oh, Puma, it's Impala 37406. You know this one. Gotcha. Okay. Obviously, Puma knows every single Impala on the property, and this individual, well, he's not going to be around very long behaving like this. Here he is. But what I wanted to stop here for now, Craig, sorry, you can look at the Impala, but the termites, after the rainfall, we had a number of termite alates in our sink this morning. I even had one in my coffee cup when I got back from drive. After the rainfall, you'll see the termites will build these little tubes or tunnels, like that one on the left there. And what will happen is that for majority of the year, the alates, which are the flying termites, the reproductives, are sort of waiting in and under the ground for rainfall. Enough rainfall to moisten the ground, and then the workers will build these tubes, and out will fly thousands and thousands of alates, flying a distance before meeting up with an opposite sex individual and then creating a new termite mound. There's something that happens often after rain, and there can be enormous blooms of termites in those periods, providing food at any time of the year, depending on rainfall. And the purpose of the rainfall is to soften the ground so that that mating pair can, once they have had their nuptial flight, they will mate and they will bury themselves in the ground right where they stand. The female will lay a few eggs. The first eggs to hatch will become the first workers of that colony, and slowly but surely the colony will develop into a super colony. But very interesting, when I say the word nuptial flight, they've proven that if the termite doesn't fly and land, it will not reproduce. So termite just walking along the ground, meeting an individual, they cannot reproduce. They have to fly, even if it's just a few inches. They have to fly. There's something stimulated by the flight. Very interesting, very strange. But maybe they also want to be eagles. Who knows? Who knows? But they are very tasty. They taste like peanut butter, termites. They do. They're fed upon by almost everything out here. I've never seen an impala eating a termite, but monkeys, vultures, eagles, loads of birds, loads of animals are eating termites when they come out, because they are a very good source of protein. And hunter-gatherers who lived on the landscape out here for many, many years used to feed on termites quite regularly as a very nice source of protein. Probably long before we even were able to hunt for meat, we were able to get a lot of our protein from termites. Sammy, we do see birds waiting. Hornbills and the like will actually sit on the tunnel and wait to pick them out, and swifts and swallows will sort of just do bypasses over the top of the termite mound, catching the alates that are all flying up. I say this quite sadly, but a friend of mine, when we were growing up in Johannesburg, when the termites used to do that, we used to stand outside with a tennis racket and hit them. I know, I do apologize. It was a very long time ago. I was a naughty boy. In my naughty youth, yes. We didn't know any better. But that is when I ate my first termite. And it was very tasty. Crunchy peanut butter. There are thousands of them, thousands and thousands, more than you can count. And those are just the alates that are going out to breed. So you're not even thinking or talking about the workers or the soldiers. Plenty of termites, a number of different species, and all very important for the recycling of nutrients, the creation of these big termite mounds, which the hyena and dwarf mongoose and many others use for hiding themselves away. Some of them from raptors and some from... It's amazing how the ecosystem has all evolved with this. And as I said, early man used to feed on termites, and then we started cultivating or should I say growing domestic livestock, and meat has become the order of the day. And look at the world today. We are back in some countries to eating insects. China's eating a lot of insects now, and soon most of the planet is going to be eating insect burgers and insect bars, because it is far more sustainable to harvest and farm insects than it is livestock. True story. Agree or disagree? It is a true story. Okay, well, an animal who I doubt is ever going to be going the insect route with regards to his burgers and patties, the little chief is going to be enjoying meat for the rest of his life.
So you can see that Osana is now still lying down here. He just moved to the side. We followed. It's all about sleeping at the moment. He was not attracted by anything. He just needed a nice place to sleep. So, but sleeping long hours is normal to the cats, such as the leopards and the lions. So they do spend much of the time just sleeping. This allows them to digest quite a lot of food in the stomach. So they're giving digestive system at least much time to take place before they eat something. So you can see that from a distance it's not easy to see him. So when he's digesting the food like he's doing now, not everything gets digested. Some of the things, they become indigestible. And he must also get rid of them in the form of hairballs. Kimberly, we do see them sometimes doing that kind of a behavior. They are vegetarians sometimes, but mostly they don't target the leaves from the trees. They target the leaves from the grasses. But that is just for medicinal reason. So they traditionally, these leopards, they eat the leaves from the grasses in order to get the grass juice that grass juice, it helps them as well for body growth and to develop the red blood cells. Apart from that, it also helps them in order to clean the digestive tract, in order to get rid of the indigestible digested material. So when these dogs and cats are eating the grass, sometimes they eat a little, sometimes they eat too much. When you see them eating too much, you must know that the grass do make these animals to get sick. When these animals are sick, the body reacts by allowing them to vomit. And when they vomit is when they are also cleaning the internal parts of the stomach. They can decide whether to bring the grasses from the droppings or to bring them back from the mouth. They can do that. That is determined by the amount of grasses eaten. When too much grasses is eaten, the body reacts by making them vomit. Grass juice, I can guarantee you now that the grass juice is very much nutritious and it is rich in terms of folic acid. Folic acid is equivalent to the vitamin B2. So there is quite a lot of vitamins. But let's look at this holistically. The issue of grasses, let's think about the grazers. Grazers are growing big body sizes. Some animals such as elephants are also eating grass and growing big. They are growing very big. So you can see that grasses has got a positive impact and it has got quite a lot of nutrition for the animals to grow, because we have seen it. Animals are growing just from grasses without mixing grasses with meat. It's just that when it comes to carnivores and some of the omnivores, their digestive system is not suitable to digest the grass. They do eat insects. I have seen that. The cats do eat insects. Leopards, they like the termites, but not the soldier termites. You know, the termites, we have got those who are soldiers who've got these kind of big mouth parts like this. You will see them with the mouth parts like this. And those are the soldiers. They use these to bite. And then you have got the owlets. They're also called the swamps. Those ones that come during the rainy season, after rain mostly. Those ones, they get eaten by a lot of the cats. And even some of the animals eat them. So cats, they eat the owlets a lot. So those are part of the insects. And the owlets are rich in fats. So you can see that he's waving the tail all the time. So it means that too much flies are coming. Look at that now. So the reason why the flies are targeting the ears is that the arachnids, so these kind of ticks and mites, where they bite, sometimes when they come off, they do injure the animal. And you see this animal having blood coming out. And that is what attracts these flies to come there. So you can see that his mouth part is very much clean. There's no blood at all because they clean themselves. But when it comes to the ears, these flies are landing there too much. You can see there was another fly right next to that ear. So the flies are too clever, and they can be able to taste they can be able to taste an animal or food just from landing on it. When the flies land on an animal, underneath their legs, they've got very strong taste buds, and which can be able to taste before they eat. Before they eat anything from the probe, the body already knows that this is nice or not. They can be able to taste just by the taste buds. And it works even more than our tongue. They can test just by landing on something. Briefly, you can see that he is changing the sides all the time so that he can lie down nicely. But here, the thing is, the ground has been arranged by the rain, but this was done by the road maintenance. So now where he is, the rain is depositing quite a lot of soft sand, and now he's using that. Maybe he's thinking about his cave. You know, he's got a cave somewhere next to the Galago where he's hiding a lot. So I can see that how he's lying down here, he's very much relaxed. So he's changing the sides all the time to become comfortable. It doesn't look like an animal. So the shape, when it's lying down like this, David, the cats can sleep for long hours. They can sleep up to 18 to 22 hours a day. So the only problem with the leopards is that they sleep when they've got a meal. Competition sometimes determine the sleeping patterns. Like if this cat has got a meal somewhere next to these bushes or nearby, you will see he must have to come down to the ground and recover a little bit and open the space in the stomach by digesting and go up there and eat again, because he knows that if he doesn't concentrate on the meal, another one is going to come and take it. But normally they can sleep long hours. James, that is quite a lovely question. James thought a leopard is nocturnal, and why is it sleeping now? So the nocturnal animals are the animals who are active at night. In other words, this is giving us a clear answer that these animals, because they are not diurnals, they sleep during the day and then do their hunting and most of their territorial patrols at night. You can see them during the day moving around if the weather is perfect. But normally, the high percentage of hunt and high percentage of their territorial patrols is done during the night. So at night is not the time to sleep. It's the time to look for the food. They use the darkness as an advantage. So he's burying his head. You can see that. Angela, you can see the leopards don't really have the long legs. They've got very short legs, but they are consisted of very strong muscles. So you can see that this cat is growing, but the feet are not growing much longer. I think the height at the moment is getting there. But what is going to happen now is it's just going to grow bigger and getting fat a little bit. But they cannot grow very tall, which is good, because this, if the legs are too tall for an animal which climbs the trees, is going to be a problem because it's going to break very easily. But when it is nice and short, it's very easy. So now let's cross over to Steve and see what he has found on his drive.
Well, I definitely haven't found an insect bar yet or a burger, and I believe there's been some debate going on about it all. It is a reality, folks. We are going to be harvesting and creating burgers and patties very soon. I know it's quite something to get your mind around, but we did it. We used to do it. We might not have put it in any processed form. We just used to eat them. I know quite a few local people who still eat cockroaches, grasshoppers. They catch them and eat them. It's part and parcel of what they do, part and parcel of their lifestyle out here. Mapani worms. These are, ooh, dragonflies following us. Hello. Hello, Mr. Dragonfly. He's using us for a little bit of, what's the word? Trying to displace some insects for him to catch. He enjoys insects. So many creatures on the planet survive off insects. Why can't we? That's a nice bit of food for thought. Hello, nature. You want to know about which dung out here can be used in a veggie garden? Oh, buffalo dung. Very similar to cow. The difference between buffalo dung out here is you can be almost guaranteed that there's no sort of hormones pumped in, or we have. Oh, we're going to go and say hello to our little hippo boy over there quickly. Definitely buffalo dung would work very, very well in a veggie garden. Very nice and sort of well broken up. I suppose waterbuck dung would work as well as wildebeest dung. Nice ruminants. They chop the grass up quite nicely. Horse manure, so zebra dung would probably work quite well as well. There'd be much higher sort of proportion of carbon than towards the sort of breakdown of the nitrogen. So, you know, any sort of dung works quite well in veggie gardens, but it's generally not very stable. Manure in general is normally quite hot and quite volatile, and putting it directly on gardens and on plants is not ideal. You need to compost it first, either in the form of earthworms or in a compost pile, so that all the microorganisms inside can, on the seeds as well, that will generally be transferred by the animal's dung, will burn off in the compost heap, because you don't want to be having all sorts of weed seeds and plants growing in your veggie garden. But it's difficult to harvest because you don't generally get too much of it in one place like you would with cows or horses. You've got to really go in search of it. So I suppose actually rhino dung would work okay, but it's a huge proportion of grass in there. You'd have to make sure that you do compost it so as to get rid of a lot of the seeds. And then talking about large animals with their dung, hippo dung, and generally easy to come by, would probably work quite well. But it's almost like putting in a layer of straw into your garden. It would work quite well as a mulch, as a covering layer. So get the buffalo dung in underneath, mix it in with the soil, let it sit for a few weeks so that it sort of composts in nicely, and then cover it all with an accumulation of rhino and hippo. That would work quite nicely, don't you think, Craigo? Yeah. I do enjoy growing veggies. That's one thing I miss thoroughly about being out here. Linda, Scuba Steve is not a happy chappy. Not at all. He's lonely. He's been a very lonely chap this whole year. But now, with his home being so low from a water level point of view, he can't even invite any friends around for a pool party. We've seen him a couple times this year with some random strangers that he's invited round. Oh, we don't know what happened to Sarah. Sarah was here and then she was gone. I think she was a bit of a one-night stand. Poor Scuba. He tried to show her around. He spun her all sorts of stories about the cool watering hole he comes from. And then he brought her home for the weekend. And, well, she thought it wasn't as cool as he made out to be. And so she's probably hanging out at Chitwa with all the cool hippo. Don't you think, Craigo? Probably. It is an emotional roller coaster. Scuba Steve with his very long face is looking very sad. If he wasn't so wet, we'd probably see the tears on his face. Kimberly, he does look very disappointed. He always looks disappointed, though. He never looks very happy. Shame, poor fellow. There we go. He's looking, going, me? You talking about me? Oh, poor Scuba. Indeed, poor Scuba Steve. Okay, well, we're going to turn around and head down sort of our eastern side past Pan, which has got some water in it. It'd be nice to see if anything is there. Haven't seen any elephants. I've been trying to find an elephant today. Normally, you just sort of head towards some form of water source and, well, you'll find them. But we had some nice rain this morning and last night. I'm going to expect to see a little bit of a flush of green on the grass level. That should be quite nice. Okay, well, our hippo, who's parking out, having a very nice little bit of slumber. It seems as if Hosana is so deep in slumber, he's actually twitching.
So you can see that a thunderstorm is building on top of Hosana at the moment, and he's here very much relaxed. He's not doing anything still, he's lying down, but now I can feel that the temperatures are getting there. He might start to stretch anytime soon and show us his plan for this evening. So I've been trying to listen to hear if maybe we can pick up any saw from Tingana, but it is very, very much quiet. And where we are, it's not very far away from where Tandy has just crossed. After we left Tandy this morning, some other vehicles were behind her, and she have just crossed less than 100 meters away from here. And apart from that, when concentrating much more towards the eastern side, Kalamba went to the Chitwa, not very far away. This one is in the middle. On the right side is where Tandy went, left side is where Kalamba went. So the possibilities of seeing more leopards after him, they are very high. You can see now he might become active anytime soon. Mario, Okumuri is concentrating much more towards the southern side of the reserve. And remember, the territories can trespass the borders. So the life of Okumuri is difficult to tell at the moment because he's just coming and going, and he spends much time by the private properties. So you can see that he's not settled. He must be seeing something. Or if not a prey animal, maybe he's seeing another leopard. Philip, the leopards have got a very good sense of smell. And if you want to see that, you must check the following. When the leopards are trying to detect each other's statuses, they go to where the other one deposited the urine. And you will see him sniffing the urine and opening the mouth. That can give him a lot of updates about the one who deposited there. And everything is done and is going through the mouth, and they take everything through the nasal passages all the way up to the brain. So the sense of smell on these animals is very good. You can see that he's... So there must be something here, because I can see how he's concentrating and how he's raising the head. It's telling me there is something. Maybe then the birds are also making some calls, but not necessarily warning calls. He just woke up very fast and started concentrating, and the ears are swiveling all the time. You can see that the right ear every time he's listening to something. Oh, now he's going back to sleep. So he's now sleeping with the eye closed as if he was not seeing anything just now. Anna-Marie, I can say now, Osana, maybe is now weighing. It's difficult to judge him. But I can say he must be maybe weighing somewhere 60, 70 kilograms. So he is going to get much bigger. He's still very young. You can see that the age, 2 years, 3 years, is still very much young. He's still going to grow very big. He might get to the size of Tingana one of the good days. And with no doubt, I can promise you here by the Djuma Game Reserve, there's quite a lot of food for him. He's not going to lose weight at all. So the wind is starting to blow at the moment. Maybe that might encourage him to move around. Niconico viewer would like to know if the other birds are giving some warning calls about his presence, and if not, why. The bears, they do give a lot of warning calls about the presence of the predators in the area. But they don't just give it. They give it if they saw them. Here where we are, the bears, they are not aware of his presence. Why bears make noise? Specifically ground dwellers, bears that nest on the ground. When these leopards are walking, sometimes they come right onto their nest, and that is when the bears got problems. But apart from that, because it's a predator who also go after them, when seeing him, they must have to give a warning call. So the reason why these birds are not calling, it means they have not yet detected his presence. And so now, while waiting to see what is going to happen here, let's cross over back to Steve.
Thanks, sitters. What dreams is Hosanna dreaming now? Such an interesting fellow. Well, we're going to just pull up a little bit up here to show you the skyline, to show you there's another system coming in. Another system. I don't know. Tell me when you can see it, Craigo. Is that all right? Okay. Well, it seems like the little chief is enjoying that. We're going to quickly go over to Hosanna and some action.
I have now discovered the reason why he was concentrating all the time. Here comes the hyena. And look, hyenas are so well gifted. This hyena is locating this cat just from the smell. The wind direction is going towards this hyena. So it means Hosanna managed to pick up this hyena coming from very far. You can see the hyena is coming, and the hyena saw Hosanna, who is now prepared for this hyena as he's coming. Let's see what is going to happen. We might witness something interesting here. Look. The hyena is coming to say hi, and is now opening the teeth, and the hyena is very much ignorant at the moment. Yes, here we're going to see something interesting. So you can see now he is right close. The hyena is very close to the leopard. The distance about 5 meters away. So we might see some interaction here. I can see the hyena is being very much ignorant. Oh, hyena is walking away at the moment. So the hyena just confirmed that Hosanna doesn't have anything. He didn't kill anything. So let me move on and visit the other leopards in the area and see what they've got. Maybe that is what the hyena is doing at the moment. So you can see that these kind of cats can hear and smell very far. It was after a very long time. There was a big gap when he was investigating and when this hyena got here. And I can promise you, he was turning all the time, listening to that area where the hyena came from. It's just a confirmation that they can hear very well. He's still looking at that hyena. So you can see that Philip, the hyenas, they don't really fight to death with the leopards. Yes, leopards can injure the hyenas badly, but hyenas don't really attack these animals to death. They always, the hyenas, you will see mostly they become submissive and just leave these hyenas. So you can see that it is very important to sometimes just keep following the hyenas because they will take us to the animals we are looking for. Every time when I see the hyenas, I don't undermine them. I take them serious. Joy, what happened here is that Hosanna was lying down and the ears were moving all the time. And he just jumped and he started moving the ears like this. He started moving the ears like this, and this told me that no, there's something he's looking at. And then he turned, he started looking there, and again he decided to sleep. So you can see that he might have picked up the hyena from the movement because the wind was not going towards that direction at that time. It was very much cool. Yeah, it is not easy in order to play the ears, but it's something that I have been doing for quite a long time. So now let's quickly go back to Steve and see what he's having at the moment.
Thank you very much, Sidders. Indeed, Hosanna has such a special relationship with the hyena around here. They both kind of have a little bit of a respect for each other. He's slowly but surely developing a reputation with them. They do not behave the same way with him as they do with Tingana. They slowly have learnt over time. The Duke of Djuma means business, and slowly Hosanna is developing that for himself. But you can see the cloud that is developing in the southwest, moving in here. Craig on the back is getting a little worried because he is driving and going on leave tomorrow on a motorbike. Sorry to laugh there, Craig. But he's kind of worried because that's the general direction he's got to go. So hopefully this system moves in. We really desperately need the rain. Come in, dump all the rain on us in the low velds and leave Craig on his motorbike alone. Anyway, the clouds have covered the sunset. That was a little while ago. But the tree on the left there is where the African hawk eagles were nesting a few months ago. You can see that sort of bunch of twigs in the top right-hand corner. We had them nesting there, and successfully it seems, because a few days ago I saw the two adults with a youngster flying around. And we saw the two adults again today. I'm assuming they're the same ones because they are highly territorial and we're not very far away from where we saw them. So very nice to see, and that is a big giant knobthorn tree that has not yet been damaged by elephants. The others around it though, now you can see one on the left is dead, and two behind as well are dead, damaged by bark stripping in the dry times of the year when the elephants are desperate for nutrients. The knobthorns we are seeing across the savannah are taking a huge hammering over the years from what everybody is placing on elephants. But the problem that I've spoken about a few times is the lack of recruitment that is going on. Huge populations of impala moving through the landscape are feeding on all of the babies coming through. We don't find many baby knobthorns. I've seen lots of them over the last few days, but they're all about this big. And you see the herds of impala. Well, nothing's going to escape those lips. Anyway, we're going to continue on down. We had some fresh elephant digging behind us there. Well, relatively fresh. But where are they? I do not know. Hello, Minamu. South Africa's got a varied rainfall across the country. The savanna biome gets anywhere from 250 up to about 1100 mils. That is the sort of standard of rainfall in the savanna. Any more than that and it will turn into a forest. The grassland areas can get a lot of rain. They can get up to 1200, maybe 1300. And the reason they don't turn into forest is because of fire and also frost. But the forested areas down in sort of right in the south of South Africa can get anywhere from 7 to about 1300 mils of rain. And then on the west coast, the fynbos gets quite high rainfall, also up to the 800-900s. But it's also got lots of fire out that side. And then the desert, well, the desert can get up to 50 mils a year, which is very, very low. And the succulent Karoo, which is between the desert and the fynbos, that doesn't get any more than about 200 mils in the winter. So that is a general overview of the rainfall of South Africa. Obviously it's quite broad and it does change, and we have higher rainfall periods and lower rainfall periods as well. This last year it was quite high, in fact. Well, it was late rain, but we're seeing more incidences of flooding, not just in South Africa but across the world, and then incidences as well of drought, excessive drought. And we are seeing it on an international scale. It is all very worrying. But we're hoping we're going to get some rainfall. I would love to see the Umulwati drainage or river flowing this year. Have you seen it flow, Craig? Craig's seen it flow. I would like to see it flow. And then we can jump on a little kayak and go all the way down to Mala Mala. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Game viewing in a kayak. It would be great. I'd like to see that. It would be a treat. One of those flamingo lilos with a little cup holder to place a little glass of apple juice. Yes, I think that would be marvelous. Be marvelous. solid plan. I think that will be a Christmas present. So Joyce says there's flood warnings in New York. That's quite crazy. New York is all quite low down, isn't it? We watch lots of these crazy movies about New York flooding and all that sort of stuff. Oh no, there's elephants on the dam, Cam. That's where they are. I knew they'd be at some watering hole. You've just got to be at the right one at the right time. And well, we are quite far away from there now, but we will slowly head on in that direction. Flood warnings in New York, flood warnings all over the place. The world is angry. Mother Nature is angry with us. Maybe, just maybe, we can go and live over there. I don't think it's a full moon today, but sometime during tomorrow it's going to be a full moon. And well, when the full moon is out, the predators are out, and they're always having fun and games.
Another hyena has just arrived here, and something just happened. It gave a very big fright to Hosanna, as this hyena is following the exactly same footprints of the other previous hyena. It's following exactly the same tracks, and is even visiting the very same plants we saw that other one who went past visited. I can see that hyena came here and then sniffed this plant, and he went that way. After that, it went down that side. So he's still trying to investigate to make sure that here where we are, there is no kill. He's going back to yeah, I can see that he is now investigating all these bushes to see if Hosanna does not have a kill hiding somewhere. He just got disappeared behind the bushes now. So these hyenas are so ignorant. They don't worry about Hosanna charging and showcasing the teeth. You can see that hyena is now going down there, disappearing. So that was incredible. Unexpectedly, he got a very serious fright, and he just jumped and growled. But the hyena was not worried, did not even concentrate on him doing that. These hyenas, they are testing his temper all the time. So it means these hyenas are coming from the very same area. Maybe this is one of the hyenas from the Juma den. But at this stage, Hosanna, he doesn't have to worry much because he doesn't have anything to protect at the moment. Nancy, it's hard for him to have a peaceful nap, especially by this time of the day, because it's when a lot of other predators and scavengers are becoming active and they're walking around. So it means now he must just wake up and do the same and look for food. Otherwise, they will just come and irritate him all the time. So that hyena is gone. So the one we have just seen now is a different hyena. The one we saw, he was much smaller. This one, to me, he looks very much big. And I could see that there's a female, and it's one of the female who is nursing the little ones. I could see the mammary glands. So he's still staring, looking at the very same direction where that hyena got disappeared to just now. Beverly, the leopards, if you check, they do have a necklace, most of them. But something you must remember is that each one of these leopards has got its own spot pattern. So the spot pattern are not the same, which means the necklace we are seeing on these leopards, they are always different. And those are some of the unique features you must have to look at when looking at these leopards. Then you will easily distinguish between different leopards every time we show you. So you can see that he's still interested on having more sleep again. I don't think Osana is knowing all the hyenas in this area, because here we do see different hyenas coming from different areas. So, but he knows that hyenas will give him problems every time he's got a kill. That one I am sure of. But to learn the individual hyenas, I'm not too sure if he can be able to do that. Because if he was learning these hyenas, I can promise you he was going to have some of the problems with some of them, because there are those hyenas who sometimes threatens him, and he was always going to maybe pay a revenge on them. Joy, this light is so lovely, is natural. Here where we are, the sun already has gone down, and what we are seeing is just the clouds and some of the openings. Not too much reflection of the sun. There is a little bit of a reflection, but where we are is getting dark at the moment. So everything you're seeing here looks natural. So now let's quickly go back to Steve.
Thank you, welcome back. I wonder if anyone has ever thought about living on the moon. Huge debates about whether it actually happened or not. Did it happen? Cute? Not too sure. Very interesting political thing, the moon. It's made of cheese, isn't it? I wouldn't mind living on a planet that was made out of cheese. I was saying at dinner the other night, make me anything, just put cheese on it and I'll eat it. Cheese is just something, isn't it? I don't know. It's one of those things. One of the reasons I couldn't go vegan. When I couldn't go vegan is because I like cheese so much. Other than that, I could probably give up everything else, but just cheese. Something about cheese. Okay, well, we're slowly making our way back. See if we can catch up. Bonnie, The Man on the Moon was an REM song, wasn't it? I know that huge discussions and debates and very big political thing. I think it's coming up to 50 years. 50? 60 years since America put a man on the moon. Is it 50? It must be 50 years now. It's quite a big milestone. 50 years. The technology back then was very different from what it is today. Why don't we go land again? I'll leave that one for you all to decide. The conspiracy behind it all, indeed. Well, I generally... Moon safaris, how nice would that be? It'd be really nice, a moon safari. Bit of a spring in your step. Anyway, we're slowly making our way back. See if we can catch up with those elephants. We've checked every single watering hole today. It's been quite nice, actually. We've had Juma to ourselves. We've been around, we've seen it all. It's been relatively quiet from an animal point of view. Oh, some impala off to the right over here. And something else that unfortunately I'm not allowed to show you. Oh, we're just going to keep driving. There was an animal that I saw a moment ago that unfortunately we are not allowed or going to show you. I was just saying we haven't seen many animals, and then things just materialized and then disappeared again. So, who doesn't like cheese? I even know some vegans who sneak cheese on the side. Cheese, very interesting element in our humanity. I'm not going to name and shame any of these vegans that I know. Oh, we're going to go this way. Yes, let's go this way. So we're back at Chelapad, the pan at the heart of Djuma, which we've checked today already for some activity, but there's been not too much around. But all of the little muddy wallows and pans are all over Djuma, and there are lots of them, are all full of water. So it means that finding animals in our sort of usual way is a bit tricky. So you just drive around now and you just hope that one of them will just pop out and show themselves. I've been sort of holding a honey badger in my mind for the last little while, thinking we might see one. I still can't get over that honey badger sighting I had a few months ago. VM's last drive with me, VM the wildebeest, and we had that honey badger for a very long time. It was really, really special. Not so special though for the monitor lizard that was caught by the very clever badger that ferreted him out of the bushes and then out of the tree that he got himself into. Okay, well, it finally seems like the napping of the cat is over. The Nosana, the little chief, is on the move.
So, okay. So you can see now that it's time for Hosana to move around here. I can see he has just moved away from his bed and is now against the plant we found him earlier. When we got him for the first time, he was hiding behind that bush. So now he's back again there. And I'm not too sure if he's concentrating on something, but he's going to lead me. I will tell you what he's seeing if I see it first. I can see that the ears and the movement is telling me that something is coming. So now you can see that we have been enjoying this animal from just the natural light, but we are left with no option as the sun has gone down and everything is changing. So we are going to show you Hosana just from the infrared. Look at that. You see something is happening here. Oh yes, impalas are coming. Okay, I can see these impalas coming behind me. And this look at that. You can see that he's trying by all means, and one of the impalas saw him. I can see that one of the impala spotted him. So I'm gonna have to rearrange quickly here for you to see this for us to follow him on this, as I can see that things are happening right behind me, and I can see that the impalas as well, they are not very far, and he managed to go very quickly in order to find a place to hide. So what I'm going to do for us to see both impalas and him, I'm going to have to come and park here so that we can see both of them coming. Maybe they might meet each other, you will never know. But one of these impalas, I could see that one impala saw this, one of these impala managed to spot him. So, but now I can see that he is using the concealment at the moment, and the impalas, they are right here, not very far away, coming towards this direction. But now when I'm looking at the impala, they are very much static, and the wind is on his favor. But these impalas are so inquisitive. The impala which is on the right, the one which is not moving, saw the movement, but that impala is not sure if it is a predator, but that impala saw Hosana. When the impala picked it up, I saw that. So here we might see something interesting. So because of this, you can hear now that a warning has been given by the impalas. So it means the impala confirmed his presence. You can see now that is a warning. So because of this kind of a lovely situation, we are going to extend with a couple of minutes just to see what is going to happen. So you can hear that the impalas are giving the warning calls. He gave up. I can see that he is even moving away, and they're looking at him now. So I think Hosanna was not patient. He wanted to go very quickly. He ran very fast, and the impalas picked his presence. He was supposed to wait a little bit. Something was going to happen there. And thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments. It has been a privilege hosting you this afternoon, and you have been very good to us. Hopefully we are going to meet again tomorrow morning and keep enjoying wildlife all the way from the western side of the Greater Kruger National Park and the Masai Mara in Kenya. Good night.